At her father's retirement dinner, with 22 relatives present, Carol watched her CFO, Anthony, approach Ronald, a leather folder tucked under his arm.
"Ronald, may I have a private word in the den?"
Ronald's face went pale. His fork clattered against the china. 6 weeks earlier, the rumors had begun like a low hum until they became a roar. A colleague named Sarah reached out, her voice barely above a whisper.
Carol, I heard something at a church fundraiser. People are saying you've been embezzling. Your father was talking about it.
My father? Are you sure?
He told a group that you were under investigation for expense fraud. I'm sorry, Carol.
He's been spreading this lie. My own father is trying to destroy my career. That explains the whispers in the break room.
She walked into Anthony's office and said, "I need a forensic audit of every transaction I've ever touched. Now." She stood in the doorway of the CFO's office, her breath steady but her pulse hammering.
"Close the door, Carol. What's going on?"
There are rumors that I've been embezzling. They're spreading, and my father seems to be the source.
"I've known you 8 years. A forensic audit will clear this."
He didn't even hesitate. That's more than my own father gave me.
"I am calling Fisher and Holt now. We'll have answers in 6 weeks."
The engagement letter was signed, and auditors began securing 5 years of transaction records.
6 weeks of waiting. But at least the truth will be on record.
A father spreading rumors about his own daughter. I need to watch this closely.
The forensic audit had begun, and the countdown to her exoneration or ruin ticked away silently. Inside a conference room, the forensic team from Fisher and Holt combed through 5 years of ledgers, expense reports, and wire transfers. While the audit dragged on, Ronald Anderson was on the 9th hole, polishing his lie with a steady hand.
"You know, my daughter works in finance. I hear she's been a little careless with her company's money, a real shame."
At the office, Carol felt the temperature drop. Conversations halted when she entered the break room.
They're all looking at me like I've already been convicted. Even the interns avoid eye contact.
During a firm dinner, she caught a senior partner glance at her, then whisper to the person beside him.
This audit can't come soon enough. My whole career is suspended in their silence.
At a church coffee hour, Ronald leaned in close to a group of retirees, his voice thick with false concern.
"I just hope the board does the right thing. Irregular expense reporting is a serious matter."
6 weeks after she'd requested the audit, the lead auditor knocked on Anthony's door. The report was complete. Anthony opened the bound report from Fisher and Holt. The executive summary was only 2 pages.
Irregularities flagged. 0. Carol's expense records are among the cleanest in the entire firm.
He called Carol in immediately. His voice was calm but carried an edge.
"Carol, the audit is back. You are clean. Not a single irregularity."
Thank God. I knew the numbers would speak, but I haven't slept in weeks.
"Now, tell me about your father. Why would he spread such lies about his own daughter?"
He never made it past branch manager. I became a finance director at 34. To him, that's an insult. I never wanted to surpass him. I just wanted to be good at my job.
"This isn't just gossip. He's been methodically contacting people in your industry for over a year."
The CFO leaned back, a cold fury settling behind his measured expression. He was already forming a plan.
"Your father has a retirement dinner next month, correct?"
Yes, at the Elmwood Club. He's been boasting about it for weeks.
"Then I'll attend as a family friend, and I'll bring the audit."
He wants to walk into a room full of my relatives with the proof in his hand. Is this too far? Anthony, I can't ask you to do that. This is my family's mess.
"You didn't ask. I am offering. He tried to destroy your career. He needs to understand that won't stand."
If I say no, the rumors will fester. But if I say yes, the dinner becomes a battlefield.
She looked at the man who had trusted her without hesitation, who had just handed her professional life back.
All right, but we do this quietly. No family drama until we're behind closed doors.
Anthony nodded. The plan was set, and the leather folder would soon hold more than an audit report. It would hold the names of everyone Ronald had spoken to. In his office the next morning, Anthony laid out a leather folder and began filling it with quiet precision.
17 people he spoke to. I need every name here.
Carol, meanwhile, was on her office phone with her aunt, choosing her words carefully.
Aunt Helen, could you add a guest to Dad's dinner? Anthony Graham, a professional friend.
Her aunt, puzzled but agreeable, added the name without further question. Anthony slid the audit summary into the folder, the page with irregularities flagged, 0 clearly visible.
And the retraction letter. He'll sign it, or we'll see him in court.
He's officially a guest. There's no turning back now.
The leather folder was complete. Audit, list, and a letter that demanded the truth be set in ink. The dinner that was meant to celebrate Ronald's career would now become the stage for his reckoning. On the evening of the dinner, the Elmwood Club glowed with string lights and the murmur of family arriving. Inside, Ronald Anderson greeted each guest with theatrical modesty, his retirement plaque already on display.
30 years. And look at this turnout. My daughter's in finance, you know, doing well for herself.
Hello, Dad. Quite the celebration.
Then Anthony Graham walked in, the leather folder discreetly tucked under his arm.
Dad, this is Anthony Graham, a colleague from the firm.
A colleague, eh? Any friend of Carol's is welcome. Grab a drink, Anthony.
He has no idea what's inside that folder. Not a clue.
The 22 guests took their seats and the first course was served. Across the table, Carol caught Anthony's eye. He gave the faintest nod. The evening was about to shift. During the main course, Ronald dominated the table with stories from his branch manager days, each one subtly diminishing Carol's achievements.
I remember my first big promotion. Took me 20 years to make branch manager. Kids today rise so fast, they skip the fundamentals.
He's baiting me. Every word is designed to remind me I am not supposed to outrank him.
Anthony ate in silence, his expression unreadable as he catalogued every slight.
He can't help himself. This isn't just envy, it's a compulsion.
When the dessert plates were cleared, Anthony rose, the leather folder now firmly in his grip.
Ronald, I wonder if we could chat privately. In the den, perhaps.
Of course, of course. After you.
Ronald led the way, still unaware that his career-long resentment was about to collide with documented truth. Carol watched them disappear down the hallway, her pulse a steady drum in her ears. The den door clicked shut, muffling the dinner chatter. Anthony set the leather folder on the low table between them.
So, what's this about, Anthony? Hope you're not selling insurance.
Not insurance, Ronald. An independent forensic audit of Carol's 5-year transaction history. Ordered by me.
He opened the folder and slid the executive summary across the table, a single line highlighted.
Irregularities flagged. 0. That can't be right. These audits always find something.
Not this one. Fisher and Holt don't make mistakes. Your daughter is one of the cleanest finance directors I've ever audited.
Ronald's face tightened, a flush creeping up his neck. His fingers tapped the armrest in a staccato rhythm.
He's not bluffing. This is real. They've found nothing.
But you already knew that, didn't you? Because the rumors you've been spreading had no basis at all.
The air left the room. Ronald stared at the document as if it were a snake coiled on the table. Anthony reached into the folder again and withdrew a single sheet of yellow paper, covered in handwriting.
This is a list of 17 people you personally spoke to about Carol's so-called embezzlement. Shall I read the first name?
Frank Morrison. That's my church elder. How did he get that name?
Anthony continued, reading each name with a calm precision that made Ronald's grip on the armrest tighten.
Bill Hastings at the golf club. Linda Pelham, whose husband is on Carol's board. Every conversation aimed to damage her standing.
Now wait just a minute. I was just expressing parental concern. There's no law against that.
Parental concern doesn't involve telling industry colleagues that your daughter is under investigation for fraud. That's defamation, Ronald.
Defamation. That word has weight. He's building a case.
Ronald opened his mouth, but no sound came. The silence in the den was absolute.
So here is where we are. Carol has every right to sue you for civil defamation, but she's asked me to offer you something else first. Within 30 days, you write a formal, signed retraction to every person on this list admitting the rumors were false.
And if I refuse,
Then our legal counsel files a civil defamation suit. The audit becomes public record, so do your lies.
the whole industry would see it. Every golf partner, every church friend. I'd never recover.
Anthony slid the fountain pen across the table. The letter waited, its signature line blank.
She really thinks this fixes anything.
Number, but it gives her the truth back. That's more than you've ever given her. Sign, Ronald.
Ronald's hand shook as he lifted the pen. The scratch of ink on paper was the loudest sound in the room.
30 days. Every letter mailed and copied to my office. This conversation stays between us.
Ronald nodded. Unable to meet Anthony's eyes, the den felt colder. The weight of 30 years of pride finally shattered. The den door opened. Anthony walked out first, his face unreadable. Ronald followed, his shoulders slouched, his eyes fixed on the floor. The remaining guests, sensing the shift, began making quiet excuses to leave. The celebration had curdled. Anthony passed behind Carol's chair and laid a hand on her shoulder. The briefest touch. She looked up and met his eyes, and he gave a single, small nod.
He did it. The truth is out. But why do I feel so hollow? Anthony. Wait. I don't know how to thank you for what you did tonight.
You don't need to. You fought for the truth. I just helped bring it into the room.
Later that night, alone in her apartment, Carol's phone buzzed with a message from Ronald. First letter drafted. I'll deliver the rest on time.
Drafted, not sent. He's still dragging his feet, but at least he started.
The night settled into a fragile truce. The letters would be just the first step, not the last. For 2 weeks, Ronald sat at his desk each evening, the list of 17 names next to a stack of stationery.
Every pen stroke grates, but I have no choice. That CFO left me cornered.
The first call came from Linda Pelham, the board member's wife. Her voice was cautious.
Linda, thank you for reaching out. My father clarified the misunderstanding. No, I won't pursue legal action. That's the third call. Each one restores a bit of my reputation, but the ache remains.
Bill Hastings called next, his voice gruff with embarrassment.
Bill, I appreciate you telling me directly. Let's put this behind us.
At the firm, colleagues began nodding to her in the hallway again. The frost was lifting.
My professional name is mending, but the wound my father opened still bleeds beneath the surface.
On the 28th day, Ronald mailed the last letter. Anthony confirmed receipt of all 17. Carol's name was clear, but the silence between her and her father stretched on. A week after the last letter, Carol sent her father a single text, "Meet me at the cafe on Grove, tomorrow, 3 p.m.
Here, copies of all 17 retractions, every signature, every envelope. I kept my end.
Thank you. These letters cleared my name, but they didn't fix why you wrote the lies in the first place.
What more do you want from me, Carol? I did everything that CFO demanded. I've been humiliated enough.
I want you to see a therapist, twice a month, for at least a year. If you can't do that, I can't have you in my life.
Therapy? At my age? That's absurd. You can't change a man who's spent 60 years one way.
Then this is goodbye. I won't stand by and let you poison what's left of this family. You choose now.
She's serious. She'll walk out that door and never look back. I've already lost everything else. Fine, I'll go. But don't expect me to enjoy it or come back a different man.
Carol stood, leaving her coffee untouched. She walked out without looking back. The door chimed, and their old relationship ended with it. For the first 6 months, Ronald sat in Dr. Patel's office with his arms crossed, answering every question with 3 words.
She keeps asking about my father. I am here to check a box, not dig up graves.
But by the end of the first year, something shifted. One Tuesday, he walked in and said, "I think I ruined my daughter's life." Carol received a handwritten letter from him. Not a retraction, just a question. "Do you remember when we used to play checkers?"
He's reaching out, but I can't let him back in without proof. I need more time.
At work, Carol was promoted to Senior Vice President of Finance. The framed audit summary hung discreetly in her new corner office. 2 years after the coffee shop ultimatum, she sent her father an invitation to her 40th birthday party. A single line, "I hope you can come." He brought the invitation to his next session, his hands trembling.
She invited me to her 40th, after everything. I don't deserve it.
A week later, an RSVP arrived. Just one word, yes. Carol stared at it, her heart caught between hope and hard-earned caution. On the night of her 40th, Carol's apartment glowed with laughter and music. She wore a sapphire dress and moved through the crowd with practiced ease, but her eyes kept flicking to the door. Ronald arrived 40 minutes late, holding a small wrapped box. The room's hum dipped as he stepped inside.
You came.
I had to. Carol, can we talk somewhere quiet? Just for a moment.
She led him to the balcony, the city lights spreading below them. He set the gift on the railing and took a breath.
I am sorry for the rumors, for the jealousy, for every year I made you feel like you couldn't outrun me. I was wrong.
This is the first time he said it without being forced. His voice is raw. I needed to hear that a long time ago. But I am glad I'm hearing it now.
He handed her the box. Inside was a silver bracelet, each link etched with a tiny star, one for every year he'd missed. She clasped the bracelet onto her wrist. They didn't hug, but when she turned toward the door, he followed, and that was enough. A week later, Carol met Anthony for lunch. She wore the bracelet, its tiny stars catching the light.
He gave me this. And he looked me in the eye for the first time in years and said he was wrong.
I'm glad. That was a long time coming.
We're not fixed, but it's a start.
That evening, Anthony sat at his desk and pulled out a single sheet of stationery.
He earned a note, not a folder, this time.
He wrote, "It takes courage to grow late in life. I am glad you found yours." The ink dried in seconds. He folded the note into an envelope, addressed it to Ronald Anderson, and sealed it with quiet finality. The next morning, he dropped it in a postal box outside the office. The most powerful letter Carol's father would ever receive was now on its way. 3 days after the letter drop, a cream envelope arrived at Ronald's house. No return address. He recognized the handwriting immediately. He sat at his kitchen table, the coffee untouched, and opened the envelope with a butter knife, careful not to tear the paper. Inside was a single sheet of stationery. He unfolded it, and his breath caught.
Courage to grow late in life. Anthony Graham, the man who had me sign those letters. Now this.
His fingers traced the elegant cursive. The words felt like a benediction he hadn't earned. He set the note down and stared out the window. A bird sang somewhere. The world kept moving, but he was frozen. Then, without warning, a sob tore from his chest. He clamped a hand over his mouth, but the tears spilled through. He cried for the years he'd lost, for the damage he'd done to his own daughter, and for the strange, quiet grace that had found him at his lowest. When the tears stopped, he walked to his bookshelf and retrieved a small leather journal. He tucked the note inside, pressing it flat. From that morning on, the note was the first thing he looked at each day. It was the dearest thing he owned. 4 years later, Carol let herself into her father's house with the key he'd finally given her. On his desk, propped against a leather journal, was the note in a simple glass frame.
He framed it. The man who once let pride silence him now displays the note that broke him open.
She turned to Ronald. His hair was white now, his hands thinner, but his eyes were clear. Neither said a word. The note had already said everything that mattered. Carol walked over and knelt beside his chair, taking his hand in hers.
This note is his true legacy now. Not the branch manager title, not the rumors, just this.
When she stood to leave, he held up a trembling hand. She waited. He pointed at the note, then at his heart. She nodded, and for the first time, the silence between them felt like peace. The note remained on that desk, a quiet testament that the most broken seasons can still bear fruit. A week later, Carol sat across from Anthony at a quiet cafe, the same one where they had first planned the dinner intervention.
I went to Dad's house last weekend. Anthony, on his desk was your note framed.
I wasn't sure he'd keep it. I wrote it, hoping he'd understand. But this is more than I expected.
He says it was the first thing he looked at each morning. It did more than my lawsuit ever could.
A courtroom would have given you a verdict, but it wouldn't have given him back his soul.
He's right. I wanted justice. But what I needed was my father back, even a piece of him.
They sipped their coffee in silence, the weight of the journey settling into something close to peace. The note remained a quiet secret between them, but its impact was now shared. Carol looked at the bracelet on her wrist, then back at Anthony, and simply smiled. The years settled into a quiet routine, quarterly coffee between father and daughter, always at the same neutral cafe.
How are the classes going?
They actually listen, Carol. I teach them budgeting, compound interest. One woman said it changed how she shops.
He sounds like the father I wanted all those years. Not perfect, but present.
He had found purpose in a small community classroom, teaching finance to adults who'd never had a banker explain it kindly. At work, Carol's office now overlooked the entire floor. She mentored young analysts, her reputation untarnished.
I nearly lost all of this. But keeping my father in my life, on my terms, was the harder choice, and the right one.
The bracelet never left her wrist. The framed note stayed on her father's desk. The distance between them had become a bridge.
Thank you for meeting me, Carol. I know I don't say it enough, but these coffees mean everything.
In that moment, the past did not disappear, but it no longer held them captive. They had built something new, fragile and fierce. Years later, Carol unlocked her father's house for the last time. The rooms were quiet, thick with memory. On his desk, she found the leather journal, its edges worn. She opened it and the note slipped out. It takes courage to grow late in life. I am glad you found yours. The ink had faded, but not the meaning. Carol pressed her lips together. A single tear slipped down her cheek and landed on the paper.
He kept it all these years. It was the first thing he looked at every morning.
She tucked the note back into the journal, pressing the cover closed. Then she placed it gently in the box. She would keep it on her own desk now, next to the bracelet, a bridge between what was broken and what was mended. The note had been his most prized possession. Now it was hers. In the silence of her office, she could almost hear his voice, the father he had finally become. She looked at the note one last time, then closed her eyes. When she opened them, she was smiling.